Good morning and welcome back to English Conversation 616. This is Chapter 4, the Stream Team. In this chapter, we're going to learn about Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and other streaming platforms, and we'll learn how to make recommendations. The objective is to learn how to recommend shows, songs, and online content, and how to accept or decline recommendations politely. We'll begin with some warm-up questions. So, what streaming platforms do you use the most? What streaming platforms do you use the most? So what streaming platforms do you use the most? I use the most. I use Netflix the most. I use YouTube the most. We're talking about the most, which is the most often. So we're talking about your frequency. If you want to answer in a different way, not directly related to the question, you could use something. I like to use the most. For streaming, comma, I prefer to use. So the spaces here, will we just put your streamer, your preferred streamer? I like to use YouTube the most, because that's connected to the question being the most. It's not asking what you use, it's asking what you use the most. The third example here, for streaming, I prefer to use, this is talking about your preference. If you have a choice, you choose to use Netflix. Maybe it's more convenient or comfortable or easy to access for you. The second question, what show or song would you recommend to a new friend? I've got this on separate note paper this time because my printer broke, because all printers are rubbish and they're the most commonly broken down electrical appliance, I think. What show or song would you recommend to a friend? Again, throughout the English book, this is about improving communication with your friends and making new friends. So you want to recommend a TV show or a song. You can easily change this to a book or a recipe for cooking or a hobby, right? These sentences are applicable for all types of interests. Would you? This is a hypothetical, so it's a future question that you would ask a friend if you had an opportunity or a chance to. Use I again. I would recommend to a friend. This is a what question. It's not asking why, and there's no because, right? Why? Because. The question is not asking that. You can elaborate if you want to. Elaborate, which means to explain further or more. If you wish to elaborate on the question, I would recommend blah 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 to a friend because, and then you would write your reason. Because it was exciting, funny, interesting. So just basic adjectives here to describe the show. I would recommend Friends to a friend because it was funny. Now, Friends is a TV show from the 90s and noughties, but it's still on lots of streaming platforms. So we would change the tense to is because it's still currently easily available and watched by lots of people, especially to learn English and to learn humor and comedy through English. I would recommend Friends to a friend because it is funny. It is a great way to study or learn English. Question 3. Have you ever started watching something just because of a friend's suggestion? So have you ever started watching something just because of a friend's suggestion? A simple answer would be yes. Yes, I have. Yes, I have started watching something just because of a friend's suggestion. Blah, 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 blah. Started watching something just because of a friend's suggestion. That would go here. I'm not going to write it out because it's unnecessary. So, very basic answer. Little bit more detail, directly responding to the question, using the question to answer it with the correct structure. If you want to elaborate, you could tell people which TV show or something that you watched based on a recommendation. So, I watched after a friend recommended it to me. Okay, so I watched The Big Bang Theory. It's another sitcom, American TV sitcom. I watched The Big Bang Theory after a friend recommended it to me. These are all affirmatives or positive reactions. If you want to have a negative reaction, a declining reaction to this question, no, I haven't. No, I have not, right? Have not. Or no, I have never. This is important for the grammar tip because at the question, have you ever? A negative response to that, no, I have never. It seems strange because never and have feel opposite. But when they're used together, again with this part here, it becomes collectively negative. If that helps you remember the reason for this type of expression. No, I have never started watching blah 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 just because of a friend's suggestion. Thank you.